chat. We're just right now beginning the first map of the fourth week of the season. This is going to be Action News Team versus Seven Sins. It's going to be casted by myself, Forebears, and I'm joined by the wonderful, the only, you know him as the man, the myth. I know him as the legend. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Threepwood. Threepwood.
Threepwood, pew 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 pew. Get those DJ horns in there. How you doing, dude?
Big bro, Forebears, it is an honor to be here tonight. I am just doing absolute dandy. I originally was not going to be slated for tonight. I thought I had other plans, but lo and behold, here I am getting to cast for my former team, Love Them Seven Sins, against Action News Team.
Yeah, dude. This is a map. This is a matchup, rather, that I've been waiting for a really long time because Seven Sins, they just picked up people in Tegu. They just picked up people in Serenity Fear, and I'm really excited to see what these new pickups can bring to the roster. As part of Mercury Heroes myself, we just picked up a main tank, and just he's elevated our game so much, and I'm really excited to see what these guys can bring to the table. But I want to ask you, you used to work with these people. What do you think Ant's probably having on their radar? Who are they watching out for?
So I actually got to cast one of Ant's games previously in the season as well, and one of the things I'm going to have to say is Seven Sins is a tenacious team. I don't want to pinpoint any particular player in particular, because in fact, this roster is now so mixed up that the only person I've ever played with before is Cat Dad.
Oh,
I've played with Rua in some pickup games before, but Cat Dad is the only staple that I remember. So this is a whole brand new Seven Sins, and while Cat Dad is an amazing support player, I think this team is going to be really exciting. But there's one thing that sets Seven Sins apart, and it's that tenacity.
Of course. I've actually had the privilege to play with Ant as well. They have a really solid tank line, and both Endo and Honxie. Honxie, I still think that he's still one of the best divas in the league. Endo, we saw his main tank play over in week 1 and week 2, and it's just been always something that Ant has always attempted to enable. If I could point to anybody as being like very much of the backbone of the team, it'd be a tie between both Endo and Achilles. Achilles also an incredible off support, and someone that if you don't deal with immediately, then they're just going to be running you over.
Is Achilles the kind of Lucio player that likes to maybe do a little more of that deeps?
Achilles is the type of Lucio player that can do as a lot of DPS, but at the same time, he you put 1 point of damage on that Ana on opposite, and Achilles is right there with a boop in your face and a melee punch to follow it up. That's the kind of Lucio that Achilles is.
Having that additional peel from your off support to give Honxie now just a little more breathing room, get that DM stay up charged, that's really beneficial. And honestly, good Lucio players are one of my least favorite players on the planet.
Fair enough. Let's look at the comps real quick. We have Ant here on defense. They got their Ryan Diva. They got a lot of damage coming out in Junkrat and Hanzo. And we're running with a standard 2-2-2 comp. Looking what seems like a goats, just straight goats coming in from Seven Sins.
So now we have the poke coming in, Rua on that Reinhardt, making use of that shield, giving them some time to come in. Diva Bubble comes out a little early. That's not going to absorb as much damage as Desirty wanted it to. And here they come. It looks like they're tentatively engaging, not really looking to... A massive purple comes in! Unbelievable! Rua gets away with one, and a Diva Bubble keeps him alive. No picks yet, but that fight, and there it is. Achilles manages to find Rua's Reinhardt. That purple grenade ended that push immediately. Unbelievable play.
And you have to always appreciate that Ana placement. And speaking of placement, Endo just went in charging the enemy team. He's prompting Ant to come in to Guxiao, or Tegu rather. He picked up Endo, Ruan on Honxie, and they used Rowie, and there's going to be snowballing off of Ant's loss of main tanks and off tanks. Achilles, he's saying, even I can't stall this. And Grab also comes out. I'm kind of questioning that Grab right there, but it looks like...
That was definitely some excitement. I appreciate the shatter coming out into a bubble. That was a bit of a miss on Endo. It's that kind of aggression you like to see, except you don't want to take it too far because it results in this. Now Seven Sins has the payload, and they are going to start moving it right along.
Now,
But
something you always have to consider is the amount of aggression that, each team is willing to put in. And I feel like it looks like Ant was on different pages right there. With Endo going in, charging in, maybe being a little bit overzealous, instead of just saying, hey, we got that big anti, we got those tanks out of the way, let's just reset after the team fight. So I'm wondering if they're going to be learning their lesson, when this comes up and using their ults a little bit more reflexive with Jangles.
lesson learned immediately as a tire and another well-placed anti-nade immediately ends the fight. Ana, good lord, Opposite just seems to be managing to nail Ruineth every single anti-nade he throws out, keeping them at low health. The healers are unable to res him, and the fight ended with that single tire wiping out the Brigitte. Reinhardt goes down. Sevensons is sticking to the Goats comp for now. I can see why. They have a lot of ults that are about to come online.
Right, we have Cat Sound Barrier, we have D30's Graviton, and Serenity Fear's Moira ult. Now, Moira ult's a really, really fast charging ult, and I'm noticing that Serenity's been holding on to it a lot. I wonder if they're going to look to combo it with Grav, and it looks like Dragons come out.
A zoning Dragons. And there it is, another massive anti-nade right onto the tanks. Sound Barriers comes out, Shatter on the same side. Here comes that beam that we were hoping would come out a little earlier. Grav is taken with the 3 people, but no one's there to follow up on it. Beam does take out Endo's Reinhardt. It looks like Sevensons is going to be able to start this push, but there's a lot of damage left on the side of Ant, and now D.Va gets the big nano. Bomb comes out, nowhere to hide.
Does catch Brox. And it looks like their own nuke also comes out.
Not able to catch anyone. They're sticking it out on the cart now. This has turned out to an all-out brawl. No real team has the major advantage, as Sevensons isn't quite able to get a definitive victory, as yet another Shatter comes out from Endo.
That's a 5-man Shatter! I don't I don't know what his Jangles taking out 4. And Tegu. Now, if that's not a definitive Ant victory over the point, and that's going to be a brutal stagger, too. I'm curious why they went and got the Grav there. I think,
Switching.
Right, I think
they're definitely going to dive.
And it looks like they are hopping on to dive, trying to pressure people like Brox in the back, who's doing just so much. It seems like he's almost being dragged every fight, and he's going to be getting one this time. You have Nano coming up, you have Achilles with Sound Barrier, and you have a lot of ults just coming up on Ant's side. They just know how to rotate these ultimates so well. And speaking of rotating, it looks like Sevensons is now coming up, trying to dive back on, pressuring Jangles, and Defuse is going to get it.
Here's the flexibility that Sevensons is definitely looking to take advantage of. Again, they got their butts kicked in those 2 Goats pushes, but here they come now with a dive right onto a vulnerable Junkrat.
And it looks like that Nano on Endo is going to be a little bit wasted. Just as Endo charges back. I'm so sorry. I totally didn't mean to interrupt you, Tariq.
It's fine. No, and then a bomb, because the bomb came out, managed to get completely stopped by this Winston bubble. Good timing, since the bubble was there to begin with. Now they're coming out with the push again, and here they go. The backline's getting picked apart. Opposite's Ana falls to defuse his Genji, who starts to do work. The tanks go down, Achilles goes down. Now that's the definitive fight they needed. Dive from Sevensons takes the fight in this part.
Now, I'm curious to see how they're going to react to this. Looks like they're sticking with the same comp. Endo's still on that Reinhardt, Honxie's still on that D.Va. They're really sticking to Ryan D.Va as his main tank line, instead of perhaps hopping on those dive tanks to deal with D30's Widow. And Defuse gets out Brox, and that's going to be a pretty brutal pick right there, because, Brox, we know how much his Hanzo can do and how much, their DPS is... Ant is very, very reliant on their DPS to do amazing things, and we see that they always deliver. With Jangles with his tire last time.
Ooh, Dragons hit by the 30, unbelievable shot before they can do anything. But the Dragons, Brox coming back from spawn. How? Sevensons correctly identified a win condition in Sevensons. They needed to take out Brox, but he comes back too quickly, and he starts. He got napped.
See that sweep, and Endo coming in with a shatter. He does get cat dad, but it looks like that Sound Barrier does come out, allowing Ant just that little bit of sustain to take back the fight right before point 2 rather. That's going to be a massive win for Ant, because just having all of Sevensons, having to travel all that distance, you have to ask yourself, what resources are they willing to commit, and how are they going to go about doing it? We do see they have sites. They're almost, that 70 to coalescence, and they have a lot of space to travel before they have any chance at dealing with things like Honxie's nuke and Ops's nano. And might I just say, he deals with that. He gets nano so fast.
Discerning picks out Opposite right in the backline, and that's going to be the signal for Sevensons to go in. And switching up to a dive, but they've still kept the Junkrat, and that's been the deciding factor. They take out Ruineth on the tanks fall. Sevensons manages to get some picks. Catad finding Jangles in the background. A D.Va bomb goes out, not really sure what that was supposed to do. They had already won the fight.
I think Honks was just looking for a remix because he wanted that sustain because they were going back and forth, right? We still see Defuse sort of try and harass the backline. Opposite's very, very aware of his presence there, along with Brox. Defuse still trying to get that pick on Brox as overtime just trickles down. Ruoth trying to get to point, but you know, that jump was just a little bit too high.
Brutal timing in Overwatch. It always seems to happen. I swear I was on the point when the game ended kind of situation. I'm surprised to see, however, Brox's Hanzo performance. A former Sin himself, Brox was known on our team for his incredible Widow play. That Hanzo was pretty incredible. Until they dealt with him, that payload was absolutely halted.
And now we're coming up just sort of on the flip side here. It looks like now Ant is going to be on attack. And it looks like they're switching up just a little bit. It looks like they're going somewhat of a dive goats. You know, we see both Endo and Honxie on those dive teams. We see Brox on Zarya, and we see that Zenyatta in Opposite. Now, Opposite Zen, I don't know if you saw that Ant hype video, but I sure did. And if I know Zens, I know Opposite can deliver where it counts. Achilles still taking that Lucio, and they're playing into an Orisa Hog, this very stationary comp and this very bunker style comp. So I'm interested to see who Ant thinks their dive target's going to be, with Serenity going to be pocketed, or rather peeled for, by Cat Dad, Tegu, and possibly Defuse with his hook, right?
Watching Rua and Defuse pull off a pulled pork is going to be pretty interesting. They're setting up on the high ground, which is the exact opposite of where I would set up if I had this comp going for me. Hollywood has this beautiful choke point. It has two entrances, the main car here and then this little side room. That means when Orisa lays down a halt for incoming players, a hook can go out and grab someone, guaranteed. End of story. Only a bubble can save them, and that's a resource that they spent. But now we're going to see an Ant come in with, like you said, this really aggressive, divey, goatsy thing. But they
actually did swap to Brig. They did swap to Brig. Previously, Jingles was on Ana, I think.
And it's still a Winston, but here comes... there it is! Boom! Immediately! There goes a major source of damage for this bunker, and it looks like they're just hanging up there, going to let them contest on the point. Diva's going to
they're actually forcing
really quickly.
them to come down right now. Rua feeling the pressure and being punished for it. Brock's taking out Rua. Endo, Honxie getting two in Serenity and Tegu, and... That's gonna be your first point push. That's it. That's gonna be the clincher. D30 swapping over to Pharah. You know, D30's Pharah is also really, really good, and with Ant's lack of hit scan, I mean, they do have Honxie to contest the Pharah, but it looks like that won't be a problem as Brox just goes and melts him down.
They got the bad spawn.
and they're just looking for snowball as Opposite is just hanging out on the payload. He's like, you know what? One person, that's good enough for me, but we're gonna start devoting ults to
Oh no! That's the bomb opportunity. They saw the Winston bubbles go down. They knew it was time to throw out the bubble in the perfect place where you can't hide, and they pick up Ana and the Winston. But there it is. Now the rally comes out, keeping this forward alive as Opsid, the off healer, doing his duty in this composition, pushing the payload.
And this is so important for Seven Sins to group up and not get trickled the way, you know, I think they are, and dealing with the front line, because if you notice where the cart has to go, it is just, it is only point two that they need to make it. And frankly, if they're just pushing them back that much, every single step that Ant is getting is that much more important. And Rua is definitely feeling that. He's looking to dive, but no, Brock's just melting him down with that Discord. Jangles and Achilles keeping everything good with the AoE heals. And it looks like this is going to be something that D30, although he gets two, it looks like it won't be enough.
It's just not enough. And the problem with getting caught in spawn like that against this particular comp is you get stuck in that little teeny tiny corridor. There's just nothing you can do about it. They tried repeatedly to fight in that corridor, and there was just that was not the right move. You take your other entrance out. You have to get out of there.
Of course. And, you know, even though there is another corridor, you know, sort of like off to the right, it is a longer path to get there, and I could tell that Seven Sins didn't want to give up that much time, and so they tried to keep push that corridor, but sometimes it is the sign of a fantastic team to know how to react to aggression and when to pull back and go other ways. I think Ant really learned that lesson in that first push when they were on attack. Or when they were on defense, forgive me.
You could tell they were feeling probably a little salty that they let Seven Sins take that first point after their spawn, their full court press, so to speak, resulted in them getting the tables turned on them.
And, you know, I'm always impressed at Ant's willingness to play sort of off meta heroes. And I'm talking a lot about their Zen. I'm talking a lot about their Junkrat. And I know a lot of people might be thinking, like, wait a second, like Zen, he's having a resurgence. And I'm like, yeah, he is having a resurgence in these pro games. And you have to remember that the relative rating of these teams, I'm just so impressed that they're able to deliver on these off meta picks like that Zen, like that Junkrat consistently. You saw a lot of Junkrat play in their previous games as well, and I've just been always impressed by their DPS every time.
It was definitely impressive. I loved seeing the switches come out from both teams, and especially given that they were able to react so well to Seven Sins' switch to dive. Notice that switch on Ant's side came out immediately, whereas it took a couple fights for Seven Sins, having lost it, to say, okay, Goats isn't really working anymore. Let's pull out and try something new. Ant lost one fight against their dive switch, and they said immediately, we are switching to dive right now. Go. And it's that.
Oh, go ahead.
It's that split-second reaction time. Like you said, choosing the short corridor over the long corridor. Once you get stuffed a couple times, you got to realize, guys, we got to get to that point. The game, the matches, this particular map is riding on this. Let's take a minute. But it's that split-second reaction time from Ant that decided that particular fight.
Right, of course. And it looks like we already have our second map chosen, and it's going to be Oasis. Oasis has been a really popular map this season. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of Ilios play, but I can definitely see why Oasis. It's my favorite map, just because you have a lot of variation in just, first of all, this first map, University. You have that little hole in the middle. You have that sort of outside opportunities to boop off, and I really hope we do get to see a bit of defuse as far as sort of taking advantage of that. But also because I'm curious why a lot of teams aren't favoring Ilios, right? Because we see a lot of far play, we see a lot of dive play from both teams. What are your thoughts, Three?
I was actually going to say the same thing. It is super interesting that almost every team I've seen this season has been going exclusively Oasis. No one picks Ilios. I think people are a little ticked off with how Ilios tends to fare. In Ilios, you have Lighthouse, you have Well, and then you have Ruins. And Ruins is a particularly different map from the other two. Both of the previous maps feature, or rather favor, boop heroes. University is one of the only maps in Oasis that favors Afara being able to pull people off of this little side area. But otherwise, you're pretty much forced to play Orisa, and then Reinhardt for the other maps. And then if you're lucky, dive with a Widowmaker if you have someone who can line it up. Both teams going to come out now, but I think Oasis allows for a little more comp flexibility.
And it looks like Seven Sins is taking all of that, that high ground position, staying with that 2-2-2 comp with the Zarya, and both teams are bringing out that Zarya, Hanzo, Ryan, Lucio, right? You have to remember that. And Brox with that Sombra, he has to be really looking at, who his main hack target is. Is it going to be that Ryan? Is it going to be that Zarya? Because there's so many ways that this fight could come out, and both teams are brawling out. That's a big anti on both Tegu and Ruan. Endo's going to be charging in right now. Brox and Endo both going to pick on Rua. And it looks like that's just going to be just a definitive team winning fight right there. When you lose your main tank, you have to ask yourself, how many resources am I willing to put in this fight? It looks like someone has slept. That's D30. And even though DP does get a kill, Opposite does pick up D30, keeping that stagger train rolling.
That's two fights. That's more than a couple fights now that Seven Sins has lost, because Opsid was able to get a single anti-nade past Rua's shield and into their backline, hitting not only Rua but everyone. And if you can't heal that Reinhardt, doesn't matter if he has a shield up, Endo knows that it's time for him to swing away. He's going to build ult charge, he's going to kill your Reinhardt, and it's not going to be fun times. And now the point is, well, Ant's 29%, 30 and pushing.
And it looks like that's going to be a big shatter on 4. Jingle's getting Serenity, Honxie on 2 on Tegu and Catdad. And it looks like D30 is still trying his best to come in. He does get a pick on Jangles, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to stagger what I can. Honxie, it looks like he has a thirst for blood. He was trying to go for that Genji, but D30 did evade him with around 30 HP to spare. And you got to start talking about ultimates. You look at Ant's ultimate count coming in at 5.2 with Endo at 20, and then Seven Sins coming in with, maybe that grab dragon. We see grab dragons on both sides, and it looks like they're choosing to initiate with that grab dragon.
No!
And Jangle's doing what I call the Mercury Cougar classic. Dude, grab dragons on Oasis.
hurts.
Name a more prolific duo. I don't think you can.
I'm just gonna sit here silent. Just unbelievable. It's when you see the graph, you know they have that Hanzo ult ready. It's you know what's coming. And that, speaking of ults, look at Desserti. They still haven't built to a blade.
Interesting. Looks like we're gonna get a guy.
Oh, they almost had it. Unbelievable. They're still putting up the picks. No, there it is. Yes, Sevens is coming in.
And they do. You know, Tegu does get slept, so he isn't able to bubble, you know, his own Reinhardt, right? But even though it's the case, Russo gets that pick. D30 and Cat picked up Jangles and Opsid. And, you know, even coming in on the ultimate count, I feel like Seven Sins has the advantage here. Even though they do have that Shatter, they do have that Nano, you know, it only takes 1 or 2 picks, just like D30 just got on Endo. You know, that is an unrevivable Rein right there. And that's all they need just to also push them back another maybe 10-15 seconds or 10-15%, right? But you have to also keep in mind that Brox is just in that back line, just trying his best to see what he can get, hack those health packs. Looks like that Shatter does come out. That is a hack on the Reinhardt into a Shatter, and that's all they need. That is 1 ultimate, 1 ability, and that point is theirs. In fact,
that's gonna be game. There's no way that they can come back from that. That's round 1.
And I definitely have sort of like almost a split opinion on these very, very meaningful cooldowns that aren't ultimates. You know, things like hack, things like the anti-nade, right? Those are game-winning ability, right? And people who can master those game-winning abilities are going to win the game, and it is as simple as that. And just it's been Ant's, you know, just flexibility and restraint and holding these cooldowns that I think have led them to a good amount of success this season.
Absolutely, and we've seen it like over and over again in these matches. Whereas an anti-nade comes out, they're not flinging it into a Reinhardt shield. They're waiting until that shield's down. They have their timing. They know the angles. They know where to throw that nade to make sure that that Reinhardt gets antied. And now it looks like Seven Sins has learned their lesson, so to speak, switching to a very full, very old school dive. Like we saw in Stage 1 Overwatch League. We got a trade for Genji. I love it.
And it looks like some really good grenades are coming out. It looks like Ant really got all the healing they needed to, putting that pressure on the high ground. And it looks like Seven Sins is instead going for the point, and they're like, and that's also a fantastic anti over on Ant, you know, and I think that's gonna be what they need to possibly take the point. We do see Seven Sins putting point first, pushing Ant down. It looks like they're all gonna be diving Honxie as D.Va and Achilles as Lucio. That does become an early Seven Sins point. Something I do find interesting is that Ant is running triple support, whereas Seven Sins is running more classic dive. I'm curious if they're gonna have enough damage. It looks like Seven Sins is bringing that with D30's blade.
Wow. That's what I'm talking about. D30 didn't get blade until almost 99% in the previous round. Now he has it almost 30 seconds into the fight. Unbelievable. That's the Genji you want. Genji has been enabled by this dive. Seven Sins has made an absolutely excellent choice as they now are performing simple cleanup. They have taken control of the point.
Trickling that Brig super hard. That's going to be such a massive trickle.
Yeah, that was dirty.
Dagger rather on Jangles for Ant, and especially when Rally is such an important you know, ultimate right now, just, you know, giving every single team 100 armor and really giving them the extra level of sustain. And Defuse, he's going in even more, trying to get those close ones. It doesn't stick, unfortunately, and he is still in the back line, and so he's looking for Brox, he's looking for Opsid, and it looks like he's also just pulling that aggression back from Brox right now. He does get the begin Defuse,
and Nano on the Winston comes out, and that was it was a lot of ults that we were going to see coming out from both these teams. And but wow, he deflects it. D30 returns the Deadeye right back to Brox's McCree. Playing the game gets called. Not sure about that, but with this absolute ult brawl going out of Mercy, big clearing bomb, keeping them away from the point. This is where Seven Sins to throw out ults to keep the point is not a wasted ult. A Nano comes out on Endo. Big blade coming back on a false Opsid goes down. Oh, unbelievable!
Honxie Endo getting a pick on both Rua, Serenity, and D30. Now they devoted a lot of ultimates to that fight. You know, Defuse still just got halfway over to his next bomb. I definitely intend on seeing it this fight. And Endo and Honxie, they're just trying their best just to put as much sustain on the point as possible. And something I'm noticing is that above everything else, you know who they're not focusing? They're not focusing Achilles. And that's going to make Ant nigh unkillable because if that Lucio doesn't get dealt with, if those heroes don't get dealt with, they're going to have to back up on the point, right?
It's very true.
Yeah, luckily Defuse does get that pulse bomb. Jangles coming in with rally, you know, and I'm curious why Defuse is still running that tracer into Jangles' brig. Now I haven't seen Jangles' brig play a lot, but you know, playing both a Genji and a tracer into a brig, you have to ask yourself what's really going on in Sevensin's mind. As Honxie does pick up D30 and Rally does come out. I'm expecting this to be
bullets for the most part as the
right.
headshot comes into the Genji. Now, I definitely appreciate Sevensons tossing onto the point like this. They know they're one fight away from victory, that if they can get a clean team fight, that's victory. I don't think throwing the ult into this one was the right choice. You wanted to do a dry push here. You wanted to not commit any ults. You wanted to wait for that Nano, wait for that Primal, wait for the Diva Bomb. Basically, try to coax out some ults from Ant and get as many of your own charges back up to snuff as possible.
Right. And luckily, you know, we do see those same ults coming out. We see Nano coming out. We see Primal and Diva Bomb both coming out from Sevensin's side as well. And you don't see too many answers here from Ant. So I'm excited to see how they use the resources they're given, and if they realize that yes, they do have the advantage coming in. And it looks like that Nano does come out.
Wow! Deadeye completely stopped. Nothing happening. Big Diva Bomb comes out, and that's gonna get a bunch of people on every single support! Unbelievable! The bomb returns catching Rua, but that's not gonna be enough!
That's not gonna be enough.
Every support.
Even with Primal, Endo's not gonna... I don't think he's gonna have enough sustain to make it work out. And it looks like that's going to be a Sevensins rush. Achilles just trying his best to touch point. He's trying
gonna
to
get it.
Sound barrier only on Achilles though. It looks like Tac Visor. Wait, when did D30 swap to Soldier? Did you see that?
He swapped the Soldier a while back. Sorry, I thought you mentioned it. Right when you said the Genji was a bad idea, Soldier came out, started ripping it up. But now it looks like very standard stall teams are gonna come out from
Endo
Ant,
coming up on just a tiny bit of help, trying to stall as much as possible. Achilles on the inside. You know,
that's a Winston's play field. That's no bueno. And the minute Ant leaves the point, that's gonna be it. The round is over.
And that's gonna be, oh man, that's gonna be 1-1. The Sevensons taking City Center.
So we talked about how Honxie is known for his diva play.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Tegu just there. So again, with divas it's always difficult to tell. Did the mech come out did the bomb come out because you wanted a mech, or did the bomb come out because you knew that was the place to put the bomb? Ends justifying the means isn't always a good thing in Overwatch, because that's going to determine who actually picks up this tiebreaker round and actually takes the map.
And you know, we both, Overwatch Pretenders always welcomes new blood, because you never know when the person, when a fantastic diva specialist is gonna become the next Fate, right? Over from
yeah,
over from South Korea's team, and I'm really paying attention to these new pickups from Sevensins.
What a fascinating group of compositions coming out. Unbelievable. We have a Winston Diva, but it's coupled with a Hanzo Ana and a Lucio and a Tracer. Then from Ant we have the Pharmacy coming out with a Brigitte Reinhardt Diva Ana. And it looks like Ant's gonna start picking up the kills.
And Opsits at like 1 HP. But Endo is gonna pick on Rua. Tegu over on Brox. You know, you see this like traditional dive with a Hanzo this time, you know, and once again, I never sleep on D30 over on Hanzo, but it looks like this very much is just going back and forth. You know, D30 still picking up 2, gets Jangles, but looks like this will be an Ant fight. And then it's an interesting Pharmacy pick, especially, you know, working into both Serenity, D30, and now Defuse sort of also swapping over to Hitscan. What do you think is gonna be the eventual fate of this Pharmacy here?
Win condition is to kill the Pharmacy. If Sevensons can't deal with the Pharmacy, they're never going to take the point again. Guaranteed, going to call it right now. 15 and counting. Mark my words.
All right, words are marked as Honxie does get the pick on D30. I feel like D30 is going to be Ant's win.
There goes.
Well.
Dragon's coming out. They know the Hanzo's not going to fly anymore. He's sticking in there. He's switching, and boom, there it is, a Widowmaker.
All right,
so cool.
So
they've identified the win condition. Well done, Sevensons. Let's see if you can follow through.
And, you know, something I think, you know, they are lagging a bit behind on is ult charge. You know, we do see Valkyrie, Barrage, Nano, and Diva Bomb, and Shatter all
everything but Rally. It's
everything but Rally. But, you know, even a well-placed Nano can make things happen. And it looks like it's just going to be the Shatter and Nano coming out from Ant here. It looks like they're holding back on all other ults as just Honxie, Endo, and Rox just start cleaning up.
I'm gonna argue the shatter was definitely not needed. The fight was definitely won by that point. Problem with playing the Widowmaker into Brox's Pharah, which they are switching off of, is Brox was a Widow main. Brox knows where you're gonna set up. He knows how to kill you. And of course, T30 is now correctly switching onto their own Pharah. No Mercy to back them up, however. That's gonna be pretty short-lived. With Diffuse on a McCree, though, hopefully they'll be able to give the Mercy and the Pharah some trouble. But now, Ant's building up to 3/4 of the charge they need to settle this and take a 2-0 lead.
And Rally is almost there as well. And that's also, once again, a fantastic anti-over on 7sins. Jangles and Tegu each getting picked on Kata and Nendo. Hoxie over on Serenity Fear. Rally comes out on the behalf of Ant and Barrage. I mean, it's last fight. I'm pretty sure that's why, you know, they played all the ults they did. They're like, oh, we have Valkyrie. Oh, we have Diva Bomb. We'll be okay.
And they have Shatter coming online, too.
And they have Shatter coming online, too. Something I think.
Stagger on the cat dad.
Oh no! Not the feline father himself.
That's gonna be overtime.
And it looks like that's going to be perhaps a gain for Ant as Serenity trying their best. Rua trying their best does get antied and will get caught out. And it looks like it is just a war of attrition at this point that Ant is so thoroughly winning. I'm questioning why Cat Dad stayed on Lucio as long as he did. I feel like, you know, perhaps it was maybe a lack of heals, you know, going that Lucio, Ana, and maybe going for like an Ana Brig might be a good idea, get that more sustain, get that rally, because Sound Barrier, unfortunately, only lasts so long, and Rally lasts a longer time. And so, like, when you sort of match up a fast charging ult that lasts a long time versus, you know, a slow charging ult that, you know, has this sort of burst shield that you can wait it out, you have to ask yourself, you know, what value do I want from my picks, and how am I enabling that? But in any case, that is the second map. I believe we're going in a halftime right now. Is that right?
I believe that is definitely the case. So we're probably going to get cut offline any moment now.
I wonder if stream can still hear us.
Unbelievable!
Still hear us. Unbelievable! All right, I'm gonna open up Twitch right now and start chatting with Twitch chat, because that is my favorite part about doing this.
So it's now Ant 2-0.
Yes.
How does 7sins reverse sweep?
Okay, so I think it's, well, if you look at Ant, you know that their tanks are the tanks are really aggressive. You know that their DPSs are very, I'm not gonna say they're pocketed, but they're very enabled. And you know that Opsid's Ana knows how to hit their anti-nades, right? So you have sort of this 3-point attack that you have to counter, you know, and I think the way to do that, you know, you saw that in that second round of Oasis, is that dive plus a Widowmaker. And I think that, you know, if they're able to just win the Widow 1v1, and we know that Brock's the Widow main, but you know, it looks like he's been pushing a lot more on Hanzo and pushing a lot more on Pharah in this series. But I think if they can win that Widow battle, they can very much turn the tides in their favor. Now, are you aware of any Widows here over on a 7sins? Okay, because I think it's gonna be Defuse, or it's gonna be maybe Shisui, you know, coming in, but we'll see.
Yeah, Defuse excuse me, Defuse coming out on the Widowmaker previously got shut down really quickly and then immediately switched off again. And I think that was mostly just a, hey, can we give this a shot? No, okay, let's try something else. Just looking at it, I'm not seeing a lot of, or no, sorry, I think that was D30 who came out on the Widowmaker. Actually, right. I think it would be D30 who is going to have to come out and maybe step up their Widowmaker game for this particular map. And it looks like we are going to get a sub. We're actually going to see Rua come out and Shisui come in. I can only assume Shisui is going to take over the main tank role here.
Right. And, you know, over on Ant side, we do see Brainstorm coming out over for Honxie. Brainstorm, I haven't had the privilege to see them play off tank, but it looks like they're subbing them out for Honxie, which, and you know, we know Honxie as a diva specialist, and Brainstorm, just really checking out his hero pool just real quick. He plays a lot of diva, he plays a lot of Zarya, and he does have a bit of experience with both Roadhog and Reinhardt. So I think they're going to be going maybe like a triple tank sort of push on Volskaya, maybe using that new hog, you know, which is in my opinion, I still think people are sleeping on. And sort of maybe using that sort of like hook combo, and getting those early picks before just rushing in, because we all know how important the tank play is here on Volskaya.
Given the recent Hog buff that just came in,
Hmm.
I was actually expecting to see a little more Hog come out earlier.
Hmm.
If you have a coordinated 6-man stack, back in the day, in the early days of Overwatch, you played Hog every 6 seconds you got a kill. Like, that was the rule.
Hmm.
And it was
Right.
awesome. And unless the other team had a Hog to counter your Hog, or a Zarya to bubble the poor slob that got hooked, you just had to suffer that consequence. Nowadays, in the new meta, Hog
Hmm.
still isn't guaranteed a kill, but when you have a team that can follow up on your hook, when you have a team that can say, guys, here comes hook. All right, I
Hmm.
got someone, let's pile drive this guy and just end it.
Yeah.
You want that offensive pick. That's the fight starter. It's the fight winner sometimes, especially depending on who you got. Instead, we saw a Hog Orisa set up on a high ground, completely unable to utilize the halt hook combo. And instead, we saw Endo's Winston jump right on top of them, kill their Widowmaker, and that was the snowball that
And
started
that
the
was
avalanche.
it, right? So, okay, a couple of things to talk about. First of all, you thought Hog 1.0 was good? Like, you liked it?
I loved
Oh,
Hog 1.0.
that's oh man, dude. I can't agree with you there. As a Lucio and a Zen as Lucio and Zen player, Hog and like Ilios well were like I had such a
That was
love-hate
your
relationship
jam.
with it. Nope, hated it
Oh
so
no!
much.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Back in the day, Lucio had a bit of a pain in the butt getting out of the well.
Yeah, right. And but more importantly, I very much do have a lot of faith in Seven Sins to in fact take Ant to a map 5. I feel like, that pick over and taking that map from them on Oasis is going to be indicative of them maybe finding their stride. I think this is both Tegu and Serenity's first official game, so I'm willing to give them a bit of time to warm up. And I think that Volskaya is going to be their map, because we have a lot of those sight lines and you have a lot of opportunities for those support players on Seven Sins, which I felt to be a bit more aggressive, and they might have gone punch for that just a little bit to hold those angles. And really, I'm not going to say pop off, but really be enabled in that way.
Right, and it's again, Seven Sins. They identified win conditions correctly in the matches when they did well. When they were running goats into a very angry Ant composition, they switched to dive. They found the Brox, they killed the Brox, and then they proceeded to pick apart the rest of the team, knowing that reliable source of DPS was missing. Now we have on that Oasis map, they switched it up, they took control of the point, and they stalled out. They did an amazing job. They took the point almost from the high 70s all the way to 99% with a very excellent stall. And that was exactly what they needed to do. And then they understood that, okay, we only need one more fight. They saw they had it with the D.Va Bomb. Again, luck or not, it doesn't matter. They followed up where they needed to, and they prevented Ant from doing the exact same thing, stalling out as necessary.
Right. And you also have to acknowledge the fact that how both of these teams treat ultimates. Ant very much, they focus on their micro game a lot, and then once they have accumulated all these ultimates, they like rotating ultimates, like two ultimates every fight, and by the time those last 6 are depleted, 4 more are coming online, and so they're able to snowball because of that a lot more. And I feel like Seven Sins, doesn't have that same philosophy. They're more, as soon as we get an ult, let's use it so we can build up the others and start chaining a bit more consistently. We saw that with Defuse's Genji over on Hollywood. We saw that with D30's Pharah, sort of trying to get that perfect barrage that might have came back in his face, but I liked the thought there. And of course, coming out with those phenomenal mirror D.Va bombs. We've seen so many multi-kills. We've seen Tegu's bomb. We've seen Jangles' Riptire. And we see a really, really good mastery of how they want to go about positioning ults. It's just a matter of how they want to use them.
Yeah, and honestly, like seeing Seven Sins come into that final tiebreaker round on Oasis, knowing that a Shatter and 2 other alts, I think it was the D.Va Bomb and the Valkyrie was going to be waiting for them. And it's just, okay, Ant has so much a perfect ult flip-flop. Like you said, here we're going to toss out some ults, knowing that we're going to have these. Oh, and by the way, during that fight, of course, we're going to be building those other ults. Whereas again, Seven Sins was very much, we spent too much time switching and not enough time actually getting the picks we needed.
Right.
It was the same kind of thing we saw on that first map. It was the round they won. It's that Genji ult. Genji Blade is such a murder in the backline. And again, D30 used that to incredible effect. And in the first round of Oasis, they didn't have the ult for almost the entire match. Then in the second round of Oasis, they had it within 30 seconds.
Right.
That ult economy has to be there. And Seven Sins, I think Seven Sins knows that. I think Seven Sins understands what they need to do now. They are going there. I think if they're going to be looking at this the right way, again, they willingly picked Volskaya, so this was their choice. I can never agree with a Volskaya pick, but
I love Volskaya.
No,
I know, right? We're just 0 for 2 tonight. I love Volskaya because I think there are so many compositions that can be functional through that choke. You know, like we see Goats, we see Dive, we see Deathball. And I mean, even though in all of them they have Brig, right? That's, but we definitely see a lot of versatility coming out, and I'm really excited to see Ant's strategy on Volskaya, because from what I've heard, they have some pretty novel strats, and I'm really excited to see it. I think you'll be surprised.
I'm a little bummed still that Seven Sins picked Volskaya, knowing that Brox is still in, and they had a Sombra. And it was massively devastating to their Oasis play. Sombra used to be great on Volskaya, then she stopped being great on Volskaya. Then she became amazing on Volskaya because Blizzard decided, you know what would be awesome? An ability
Infinite invisibility.
Definitely. Literally indefinitely. Like, I have no concept of why they thought that was a good idea, but hey, whatever. I've been having fun when I pick Sombra every once in a while.
Oh man,
as a tank support main.
Oh dude, press F for 3 bullet. Blizzard's gonna find you and ban you from the game.
Rip in pieces. I'll be blacklisted before the end of the night. You mark my words. Wait, no shit. I already was right once. I don't want to have that happen. Uncle Jeff, please. I'm sorry.
I know it looks like D-City just had his game crash on him, so there's gonna be a slight bit of tech difficulties. It's okay. Simpsons got the 6v5. No worry.
In the Overwatch Pretenders League, there is an amount of time set aside for technical difficulties for both teams to resolve. Again, this is an amateur league. It's for any player under the rank of Master.
And he's back.
Wow, see? Isn't that easy?
It looks like the situation was defused, but bad joke.
Hang on, I'm gonna go delete my System 32 real quick.
Sorry, these jokes are your Achilles heel. No.
Okay. Right, there's already a cat dad on the team. Let's make this the endo of the joke. So.
All right, I'll brainstorm some more.
I'm just gonna have to find Serenity, knowing that at least finally we're entering the next match.
These jokes are OP.
I wonder how many followers. And,
how many people we're gonna be losing just lose.
Well, only cultured people would remain at this point. Actually, that comment probably just lost us more, anyways. So now, however,
wait, hold on, Mirror Torbs.
All right, and you're the Volskaya fan here.
Yeah.
What do you want to see on offense, and what do you want to see on defense?
Okay,
so Ant's got some crazy stuff.
Okay, so I'm fully expecting Ant to run, hear me out, dive triple tank on defense.
Yes, I love it already.
We're gonna be seeing that. Ant is on defense, and we're gonna be seeing those dive tanks on defense again, and double sniper, sort of actually scratch that, triple sniper.
So I love this combo because it's that classic Volskaya Stage 1 Overwatch League composition. You got the Hanzo, you got the Widowmaker, and you have your dive tanks. So, and this time, however, with Ana's buff, she is much the preferred healer. But then you have two main healers, Mercy and Ana. They are never going to die unless Seven Sins has something creative.
Right, and Seven Sins, it looks like they're sticking to a hybrid of classic dive with Brig. You know, we see that Tracer, we see that Genji, and dive tanks, and we're coming out. And I want you to look at where Endo's positioned right here, right? Endo is just he's just going to stay on that truck, pocketed by Achilles, putting out that creep damage and he's getting his ult as soon as possible.
And
that's
here they
what
go.
Ant's
Seven
game
Sins start
plan is.
engaging immediately. D30 throws a deflect into a Winston, not your finest hour. But now it looks like so all it is Endo, and Seven Sins is free to pretty much do what they want. Endo's gonna not fall because, again, he's been pocketed, and Mercy, despite her healing debuff, is still pretty good. Now it looks like Seven Sins is just gonna slowly rotate around with their own healing.
Right,
Nothing's
Diffuse
really,
actually
there it is!
taking up the
Diffuse
back
res
line.
blocks! Unbelievable, but the res! That's what happens when you have a Mercy. If you kill someone, Mercy's gonna come back up. And now Brox is still in position, and they're going to town. Ant is gonna start finding the picks. They have started to cap the point, but I don't think they're gonna be able to get a tick, as Brainstorm now is just going out of control. But whoa! Seven Sins counters very quickly. D30 picking up the Widowmaker, and there it is. Jangle's killing with
Oh,
us.
of course. You know, that's all of my fights with Ant and just Jangles just eliminating the team. But it looks like Diffuse.
So, I have
he's
no idea
trying
what just
so
happened
hard.
right now.
Diffuse is
Wow.
Jangles and Endo. What's
Diffuse!
going on?
You absolute monster! One
What a
tick.
madman.
I've never seen a Tracer with a gold medal in objective time, but I think this is going to be our first opportunity. Achilles, not sure what they're doing. They're going in with the blaster! Yes, I love it!
Dragons is coming from spawn.
Yes!
Brainstorm is going
Zoning
to be
dragons!
and it looks like they're gonna avoid it, and that was all Diffuse. I don't know if you saw, but Diffuse was sort of infiltrating the backline from the get-go of that push, and then as that fight was dragged on, he was able to pressure on that Ana, pressure on that Widow. They've identified the win condition, and they're ready to hit him where it hurts.
So now they have snowball potential here with 3 ults, and it looks like they're going to take advantage of that. Still starting out with the pokes, wearing down Endo's shield, who is keeping it up, and there it is, Diffuse in the
And
backline.
Endo comes
Major
out.
Diva Bubble goes
It's
in the
gonna
back.
be big, it's gonna be big, it's gonna
Boom!
be big. Oh.
Nothing happens.
And that
Counter Diva
Nano
Bomb
blade
goes on the
comes
point
out
with a
on
big bubble,
D30,
and there it is,
gets the
D30.
Nano Genji.
That's 2 ults defeated by 1 single ult, which also picks up a D-Mech. Rally goes on the point. It's definitely not going to be enough. That was a lot of ults spent for what is ultimately going to be a dead push. Diffuse gets pity charged, I guess, into a wall as Serenity finally falls. And now Seven Sins begin a long
Cat
5.5
trying his best to get back to safety, and he does.
So now Seven Sins has a 5.5 minute push ahead of them, but
Now let's talk swaps for a second. We see Brox back on Sombra, right? We see Seven Sins actually opting for a pharmacy route, playing into their lack of Widow. I'm interested to see if Ant's gonna swap instantly, or they think, oh, you know what, a hack's gonna be enough, an EMP's gonna be enough. Let's just build it up fast and shut down every single one of their pushes, and that's what they're doing.
Diffuse ran right into Jangle's Brigitte. Boom, wham bam, thank you ma'am. That is it, show's over. Your major backline, or rather your infiltration DPS is done. Pharmacy, it looks like your best bet is to just pick up some ults. That's pretty much just done. Not really much to say there.
They did get the res off, you know, D30 still throwing down damage, and Achilles just hanging out by opposite, you know? They're just telling their team, hey, you know what, if you want heals, you're gonna play within our range. And it looks like that's what Seven Sins is doing right now. Shatter!
Big shatter comes out from Ant. That's gonna crush Shisui with a nice, lovely assist from almost everyone on the team. Both tank fall at Seven Sins once again, not able to find the picks they need to really get a push going. Woo!
Yeah.
Now hang on, Diffuse once again pulling his point magic as he almost takes out opposite. There it is! He
Oh,
pulls
there it
it
is.
off!
He does
And
get
now he's on the
opposite.
point, but I don't think he's gonna get a tick out of this.
No, Endo's
That would've been-
definitely trying to get him, and it looks like
they're gonna
that's
snag
gonna be
it.
a bad trickle over for Diffuse.
They
Over
built
by
up to
Brainstorm.
ugh.
And so we got Taco Ultimates coming in for Seven Sins, and it looks like Diffuse just swaps over to the McCree, loses the
Abandoning
one
the
ult they
bomb.
have, and it looks
So
like
that's interesting.
Yeah. It looks like EMP is coming out right now here for Brox, and you have to ask yourself, he's just hiding in the corner. He's just ready to use it. They're probably thinking to themselves, okay, well, we're gonna use it now, actually.
And there it is! Major grab from Ant comes out again, utterly stopping a push. They saw the big hack, and that was it. Bam!
Now, you know, part of me doesn't like that grab. Part of me is like, EMP came out, we had already gotten D30. I think that grab was a little unneeded, you know, and I think they could have held it for things like if Serenity comes in with a Valkyrie, and then, you know, you could just grab it, focus it down, or if Diffuse had a high noon and, you know, you're able to really just like zone him off that way, sort of put it around a corner.
And it is
I'm a
it
little
is
curious
interesting.
about
Yeah, it is interesting that they didn't use that as a chance for Endo to get some more charge on his shatter.
Mm-hmm.
When all those people are kind of, stacked up like that, that's pretty much open season for Endo to go swinging away. And now it looks like there's a very tentative engage. Valkyrie comes out. This means Seven Sins has to start pushing. Big the shatter goes in right into a shield. Nothing happens. That's it. Shisui gets nanoed and then knocked down immediately. Boom.
Comes out to pocket Endo as much as possible.
He's getting locked up. It's not happening. There's just not enough damage coming in from Seven Sins. They're still swinging away, but a rally is once again going to come out. That's massive amounts of armor. Seven Sins still has yet to pick up a meaningful pick, and yet despite that, they're still trying to stay engaged. There it is! Diffuse finds Brox's Sombra on the upper right, and there, bam! But that's not enough! Endo takes both Reinhardts, and without any shields,
tier 1 opposite Achilles! That's their support line decimated.
And now Changles is the only Ant member on the point, but that means Seven Sins gets to start picking it up once they take him out.
And Brock's coming in with the Sombra, trying his best. He's waiting.
Bam! There it is.
He does come out, but Brox does come out. That shadow comes out on Tegu. Does Tegu go down? Tegu does go down. D30 on 2.
But Seven Sins is getting the res off. They bring back their Zarya, and that's gonna be big grab comes out from Ant, and that's gonna be a lot of not enough damage though.
The Nano and Valkyrie is going to make it happen. D30's grab.
Big Dragons comes out stopping any other Ant, and now all we see is it's Ant coming in to try and trickle as much as possible. Ando comes out, Shatter kills Brox outright, not even getting
Achilles, and now Brainstorm's coming out, getting charged up. It's just gonna be opposite, just hanging out on that Moira, and now it's just a matter of just cleaning up the mess that Ant has left for them. I will say, I think that entire push could have been inhibited with a grab that they had earlier. When the Valkyrie was just being pushed and everyone was clumped up together, I think that they could have gotten that right there.
It sucks. It really sucks to know that, again, that Grav came out, the fight could have been won, but that means you don't have Grav, and they didn't have that Shatter. Those are two really important ults to have when all you need on Volskaya is one team fight one, and thus begins the defending team's never-ending slog of stalls.
Of course. And speaking of never-ending slog of stalls, imagine the amount of sustain that Ant has with a Lucio, a Brig, and a Zen as they're pushing in with dive, triple tank, triple support, coming in against Pharmercy.
You friggin' called it, though. This is awesome. So they have nothing to deal with the Pharmercy. Absolutely nothing.
Correct.
Unless Opsid pulls an absolute Jonak and just pops off, which, can happen, totally. And I'm not knocking Opsid. But
no,
Jesus,
of course
this
not.
is going to be rough to run into.
And, I'm looking forward to seeing how D30 and Shisui in particular decide to dive the backline, because they have so many good dive targets in both Opsid and Achilles. Achilles probably a little harder to, but I think if they dive Opsid and really keep that Zen at bay, because Discord is such a phenomenal ability with dealing with Pharmercies, that I feel that's going to be what they're going to aim at immediately.
I assume Jangles is going to be their best bet from stopping that. Nothing like a good old smash whip shot and whack to take a Genji out of commission. But here we go. Now it's Pops coming out from that farm.
Endo diving Shisui
right back onto the actual tank itself. And I don't know. They weren't able to get the Discord on it, so that's not a fight they're going to win.
D30 does dive opposite.
Counters
that's
onto
going to be
this Zenyatta. So boom, you've lost one of your sources of healing, not necessarily a major, but a major source of damage. You have Mugen to deal with this Pharmercy now, and that means they just have
it's just going to be open
down the rockets. So Jangles is still keeping everyone alive, but it's not enough. And bam, 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 the picks just keep flying in. Endo manages to get a pick on Cat Dad. Wonder if they're going to be able to get out of spawn quick enough to make. Nope, there goes the res.
Right.
So ultimately, we have a lot of Volt Charge for Seven Sins, not a lot for Ant. They did manage to get the res off, but unless they push again, they're going to have it up for the next fight.
Right, then there's going to be waiting, and I think D30 definitely has Opsid's number right over here. No swaps just yet from Ant, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm expecting a bit of a repeat. We see Discord coming out on Serenity, and Blade comes out.
Massive Blade immediately kills Opsid. D30 gets stunned. It's still not gonna be enough though, as they manage to get a D-Mech, and D30 immediately kills that poor little baby diva. And of course, Brigitte follows quickly after, having to stay in range of that swinging blade the whole time. Yeah, they've got it.
That's gonna be a good amount of ults just ready to go. You know, Cat Dad with Nano, Defuse over with Barrage, Serenity, and Shisui coming up on their ults as well. I'm curious why Shisui is hanging out where he is, you know, because I mean that's obviously playing outside Winston's effective range. And
Seven Sins wasn't ready for the swaps because Jangles had went over to the Hanzo. They're going for a very traditional Rein Zarya, but now also with that Diva, possibly to give that pharmacy.
Oh, and Shisui gets charged.
Goes out on the Serenity. Serenity gets charged. That had to have been a miss, but maybe they were aiming for the Pharah because they're going for the Nano Barrage. But it's still working out with trades. But right now, it's definitely bam.
Does get one in Brox, and that's gonna be really big. You know, high charge Zarya is just, you know, if you get rid of it, it's going to be almost game, and we're gonna see that. And they're looking to trickle both Brainstorm and Jangles. They're not cutting that Diva just yet, but she's like, you know what? I want blood. I want to
say that should have been Ant's victory.
I think
with Seven Sins nanoing the Mercy instead of the Pharah, they were going for Nano Barrage. It was pretty obvious with both ults ready to rock and roll, but Ant just didn't get a picks. They didn't get the right picks. They were trading for a while, and here it comes. And now Brock's switching, and now we have the same composition coming in from Ant. Looks like they're gonna try one more time, moving straight to point. But that means Pharmacy's just gonna rain down.
Now that's gonna be a shatter on D30 and Shisui.
He's purple, but no, he lives. The grenade comes out, keeps him alive. Dragons is not gonna catch anyone. It does catch Shisui. Unbelievable! Didn't even see it happen so quickly. Now Ant's gonna start taking some picks, but Diffuse again picks out the Jangles.
And it looks like Brainstorm is gonna be using that ult just to zone out.
Gets their mech back, but the Blade! Here comes a Blade! They're getting apart Brox. Now they're gonna start taking apart the rest of the tanks. They're gonna go for the D-Mech on Diva first.
I think they're looking to trickle Endo. If I were them, I would have started trickling, and it looks like that's what they're gonna be doing right now.
Poor Brainstorm.
Oh, poor Brainstorm. Oh, you hate to see it.
So that's 30 seconds remaining. Brainstorm just got killed. That's another X seconds left.
And,
but
you know, they only have grab on the side of Ant. You know, over here on Seven Sins, you see the Diva Bomb as even a zoning ult. You see Cat Dance coming out. I'm
a Prince and a Winston.
Yeah, exactly. And that Winston already coming out. Shisui's still taking that back right. He's anticipating Ant to always go right side because they don't want to go deep or left side. Forgive me, because they
there
don't
it is. Shisui drops down right up to Opposite. Opposite goes down and does go down. Now they're picking apart the rest of the backline. Jangles
and that Barrage gets 2 on Defuse.
And the Endo on the Reinhardt. Shisui rips out the Primal Rage. They just can't get on the point fast enough.
That's gonna be a Seven Sins victory. Well, for that one map, score is still
so now we have 2-1.
Still 2-1, yes.
And the reverse has begun.
Oh man, this play of the game is just so good. I love this High Noon. He does get 2 here with the High Noon, in addition to getting Brox. And I'm surprised that Ant actually had such a big presence on the point even after this.
Yeah, that was genuinely impressive. I think that was amazing decision-making on Diffuse's part. They watched Reinhardt go charging off into the distance and immediately pops Deadeye. You just know it. There's the Zarya bubbles are going to come out, but at maximum that's 2 people. There's no Diva on the field. Your biggest obstacles for getting your McCree ult, which used to be so powerful, are gone.
Right, and he knows that he's not worrying about EMP. Right, because he just right-clicked the Sombra right there, right? And so he says, there's literally nothing stopping me, save for an Ant asleep, right? You know, and you're still playing the high-risk cover war game. Opposite, I haven't been paying attention to his sleeps that much. I know he hits his anti-nades, I know he hits his shots, but he
napped that Genji.
You have to ask yourself, you know, he did nap that Genji. You know, you are very right, and that Nano Genji did get Diva bombed. And it looks like some swaps are also coming out. Honksy's coming back in here for Brainstorm. And you know, I'm gonna use the opportunity to take a bit of a break and just ask you, Threep, what's been your favorite play so far?
Asking me to pick my favorite play out of all the amazing plays that have just occurred is almost kind of a sin in and of itself. But I think what I'm going to have to go with is Brox actually hacking the Seven Sins Reinhardt.
And then immediately shattering on Oasis.
Because it's that kind of deliberate play. Because normally you figure, okay, Tegu's bomb on Oasis. That's the kind of player that gets casters going, oh, and of course, like, you know, we go for it. Because it's really super exciting. But again, it's not a Poco.
Right,
You didn't
right.
toss that over the ridiculous angle and pick up the entire team. What we did see from that small play on Aces, though, was a single teeny tiny ability takes away Reinhardt's shield, and bam, one ultimate wins the fight. Again, like we're talking those small cooldowns. If you
Right, those
master
game-winning ability.
yeah, if you master an ultimate ability, sure, maybe if you're really good at charging it, every 30-40 seconds you can make a great play. If you master that tiny cooldown, every 6 to 10 seconds you're making a play. And let's do the math, people. That's the better odds.
Right. How often do you really be making those plays? If you were to ask me what my favorite plays was, it was just the summation of all of Opsid's anti-nades on Hollywood.
Oh
And
my
let me tell you, if there's a reason why they weren't able to even get the second point, it's taking advantage of those opportunities and recognizing when Zarya did have those bubbles down to, prevent that purge effect, to make sure that they were getting as many people as possible and punishing people for grouping up on that original Goats comp that they were seeing. To say that, I'm not gonna say Anna's a counter to Goats, but anti-nade is a counter to everything.
I mean, it's rough. Like we sound like a broken record, right? It's every time
Right.
Seven Sins came in. Oh, look, there goes the big anti-nade winning the fight because they tagged Rua with 2 health left, and yeah, of course, Endo's gonna swing into that. So
Right.
yeah, anti-nade really does just ruin everyone's day forever, everywhere. And it's interesting because Goats theoretically shouldn't get caught by that at all. When Lucio
Right.
speed boosts a Reinhardt can keep his shield up and almost walk at normal speed. That's what you want.
Right.
That's the kind of coordination and timing that you need to be seeing out of Goats to really make it effective against that anti-nade potential.
Yeah, and speaking of broken records, you have to ask, what happened with Ant's attack? Like after the second time Opsid went down, he was the first person to die in all 3 of those fights. You have to ask yourself, what was going on through his mind? What was he doing differently? And how did they go about and really counter that Pharah Mercy? And the long and short of it is that, well, it looks like they didn't have enough time to.
Right. I think Ant's win condition there was not necessarily to deal with the Pharmacy, but understand that the Seven Sins dive was coming onto their backline. They were
Right.
routinely initiating. And if the other team is going to show their initiation, you can safely say, we wait for them to come in. And then you counter.
Alrighty, it looks like they're coming out. This is Seven Sins over on the payload on attack. They're going for a Doomfist comp right here. Coming into a very traditional death ball here from Ant. Jangles does win the sniper war.
Death by Sonic Arrow.
But even though it happens, Achilles and Jangles just getting 3, dude. Getting Stony Fear, Tegu. Even though Defuse does get a pick on Brox, and you saw Rua get bubbled as Endo, or as Shisui get bubbled as Endo sort of charged into him, and I thought that'd give Seven Sins a bit more sustain, but I guess it just wasn't in the cards there, as they're looking to just group up right now, and a lot of Ant reaching their halfway points on their ultimates. D30 still taking that really long sight line, trying to get the pick on Jangles. They're just going for the sniper 1v1 war. And it looks like D30 then wins this one, and it looks like Shisui's going to be a lot more aggressive. Achilles trying to speed his Rein out and trying to boot people away, as Opsid might also get caught out here too.
It's rough on Riato point 1 once you lose that initial choke point.
And
now this
Opsid-
becomes this broad open brawl.
And it looks like that shatter comes out. That's a massive shatter off of Endo. That's a nano shatter. Does get picked up with the defuse. Jangles over on Shisui. And, I feel like Seven Sins had an opportunity to punish Opsid's positioning right there. You saw the Doomfist dive on him, but they weren't able to follow up. And Achilles just gets a triple. You got that Lucy, you get that Widow.
I just like, it's just watching this, like watching clean up, everyone do your share, and it's Achilles like, dude, you did your share. Okay, you did your share 3 times. Knock it off.
Brox still scavenged a little bit. He was on bridge. We don't see any swaps just yet over from Seven Sins, but they're probably expecting Jangles to have that Dragons and Achilles to have that sound barrier, and they're looking to play around that. And it looks like that shatter as well as sound barrier comes down. That shatter didn't catch him, unfortunately. Did get a mirror sound barrier though, and it looks like that charge does go back. Endo just battling the backline, Serenity picking up Endo. Brox and Honxie still getting 2 on D30 and Defuse. And Honxie just not being contested. Oddly enough, just not being contested at all as he goes in and tries to take out Cat Dad, who I feel almost panic nanos in many ways.
So it's an interesting situation because given the spawn differential right here, Ant does not have the spawn disadvantage that you would, or spawn advantage that you would normally expect. Both teams
Right.
have about an equidistant walk to the payload.
And
But
yet
Ant
is
just
still
comes
playing.
in- yeah, Ant just
They're still
comes out
playing.
swinging way faster than you would expect him to, and I think it's because their Lucio is dying at almost the similar time, and can speed them all back a little faster.
Right. No, that's definitely true. I'm looking over at Seven Sins, and I'm looking over at like a grab Meteor Strike win condition right there. That has to be what
There it
they're
is!
thinking. And there's that grab. Are we gonna
It
see
didn't come out! What happened? No!
Oh,
Oh,
looks like
no.
Defuse does pick up Achilles. You know, I think
Oh,
it's
wow.
still
Holy
gonna
moly.
be a one fight. D30 and Defuse just cleaning up. And Honksy just trying his best, but no, they're just gonna eliminate that threat instantly. No staggers here. We want to push that payload. And Ant,
And here's
Ant
that
still
spawn problem,
trying.
though. Ant has one good push left, but they are gonna rush in immediately.
looks like Endo
Endo's
is
gonna get
going to do
annihilated.
what he tries best, and that's a big shatter! What? How can that man not be punished? Endo jingles off is all getting a pick. Even though Tegu does get that pick on Endo, you gotta. My heart goes out to Seven Sins.
The balls on that Reinhardt. That's it!
And
Ant's gonna take this point!
And
Cat Dad
you
can't
know
do it
what?
on his own.
That's gonna be such a big path back to the payload. Hopefully, that nuke, that shatter, that blade finds people. D30 does find Jangles. It, in fact, still could be Seven Sins fight. They do get a boostio.
Boosty, but oh
Boosty,
no!
oh, no.
Serenity finds Achilles.
Have some karaoke courtesy of Threepwood right there. Hong Sing Block still cleaning up on Serenity and Defuse. Dragons does come out. It looks like they're just throwing every ultimate that comes with. Shisui gets two in Brock's Hongxi. And they got it. They got it. This
It is
Seven Sins
absolutely
goes to live
criminal.
another day.
Seven Sins robs victory straight from the hands of Ant, and rightly deserved for Seven Sins to do so. That was an excellent fight on both sides. I just,
Well, victory at first point, right? Let's be
Yeah.
completely clear. Victory
To
from
be-
first point.
but a Rialto first point, that's given that it is probably the hardest point on the map to take. Seven Sins isn't going to have an easy time of it, given that they went into overtime
not
there.
at all.
But they
Ant's
will have
taking-
a...
Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
Oh, I was about to say, you know, Ant's taking the high ground. We do see Honxi and Endo, even though they do get naded. Endo is very low, does get nanoed. Honxi is the only person, and Jingles and Achilles getting caught on that ground. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of follow-up as Opsid gets decent. He's bumped over to Tracer. I'm curious why. If I hear any I'm already Tracer jokes in chat, I'm not gonna be happy with you. As Achilles does go take over on Serenity Fira, and don't do it. Don't do it.
It's okay.
Don't do
Achilles is doing the work for... Wow, this is that aggression from Ant.
It's
Holy moly. So that was really amazing, and I, again, don't really agree with it. I loved Endo's suicide shatter to prevent point one from falling. Aside from the follow-up that wasn't really there, that was a great attempt, and they really did kill a lot of people. Right there, no. You
I
save
looks
your
like we're gonna
shatter.
see a really, really aggressive Seven Sins right here. D30 getting an early pick on Achilles up top, so just diving that top lane as Tegu gets over Jangles, and this looks to be like an Ant fight through and through. Nano does come out over on Blade, and Defuse, you know, choosing not to use Blade here. He's probably thinking to himself, you know, I still hold on his Blade. I can still snowball it for next fight. I'm curious why Cat Dad chose to use Nano here because, you know, they weren't low. This wasn't a panic ultimate. And it looks like the second point does not come to them. It looks like Ant is going to be fighting every single time. And it looks like now the blade comes out. We do see that nuke coming out from Honxi. Do they get the remake? Endo gets that Nano. Everyone on Seven Sins is anti. Tegu and Shisui hurting a lot. And it looks like Shisui does go down. Dragons looking to zone out with 20 seconds. And it looks like that grab also, maybe a bit of a panic grab because that Anane does come out as Jangles opposite Endo, even in grab, do clean up. It looks like this is going to be an Ant point with, once again, such a long walk back.
So there's no way Seven Sins can come back from that. It's just not. It's actually just not possible unless Doomfist can somehow. He made his it! Unbelievable! But he gets annihilated immediately.
The madman.
I'm literally at a loss for words. Just seeing Desserti come down there and then get deleted immediately was flabbergasting.
Oh, man.
I'm not really happy about the Overwatch that was just played in that fight from either team, to be honest.
No?
No, Ends
I
again.
think it was
Ends
a little
justify-
sloppy. Like,
ends,
not
ends
gonna
justifying
lie.
the means. Ant's gonna
Mhm.
take it, sure. So what you could come away from that thinking, I did something good.
Mhm.
But
But that's not exactly the type of logic you want
nah.
because if you're looking to improve, you need to know things like how to manage ult economy, how to know when you call for ultimates. I feel like over on Seven Sin's side, I feel like that nano was wasted.
Yeah.
And that grab, you know.
Yeah.
And both those are incredibly impactful abilities. And then D30, yeah, you have to ask yourself sort of what page was each person of Seven Sins on, and then even over on Ant's side, you could argue their aggression is their asset, but they've been punished for it before, and even though they came out with it now, who's to say they won't get punished for it again?
Right, Endo throwing at. God damn it, Brox! You don't want to be Tracer.
Oh no, you don't want to be Tracer.
Seeing Endo rip out that shatter on the bridge, and it's just okay, cool. Like I get that you really want to make sure you get those stagger picks, and ult's not worth a stagger. Nothing. No
Right.
ult is ever worth a stagger. So the issue that I have now is with Seven Sins, of course, you have a press Q twice to win condition. You have Space Jam.
Yeah, you do, 100%, and we didn't see that.
Never. We actually did never see it, and we just saw a Space Jam come, rather a meteor strike. Jesus, Discerny!
Early pick on Brox, just coming out swinging. We do see
Excellent
May.
flex.
We do see defuse over on May. Weird flex, but okay.
I mean, May can be a humongous pain in the butt on Rialto. I'm not really sure where your
I don't know if you
angles
saw
are
the
going to
Ant
be.
Nova game, right? But the Ant Nova game really did show how
I don't want to talk about it.
how Nova did utilize May, much to Ant's
There it
demise.
is! Boom! Endo in the tanks! Trapped by the ice wall, but no, Lucio, you can't boop them over. That defeats the purpose. Endo manages to die, but they literally give Honksy their life back.
Did you just say Endo manages to die?
I don't think Seven Sins deserved either of those kills.
That's fair. You know what? Fair enough. I can, I can agree with that. I think that was a well-placed ice wall, if anything, can be used to make that really happen.
But then you boop one of the tanks over it to safety. That's no bueno. And here we go, Brox now saying, I can head click too.
Yeah, and he's gonna be like, I'm gonna get that headshot, and I'm gonna make sure that this pick is gonna be mine. Jangle's getting the flank over on Cat Dad. I'm wondering why they didn't call for it before. Shisui still not looking over at Jangles. He just almost eliminated, both all of their healers and all of their tanks, and that's gonna be, something that Seven Sins has to ask themselves. Who's gonna be their flank caller? Because it seems like they're really not.
They're getting trapped. They are absolutely getting trapped by the flanks.
you.
It's taking them completely by surprise.
Yeah.
And here we go again. Like,
Of course, there's gonna be a Reinhardt battle with double charges. She's gonna pick over on Endo, and I think this is gonna be a Seven Sins point right here. I tripped over my words earlier. Forgive me. Defuse just getting that early headshot over on Brox, just cleaning up. They might be looking to stagger Jangles just a little bit. Tegu does get that. And we're going to see, in fact, a very big mirror of last round where Ant has to walk all the way back with not a lot of ults to show for it. We do see Soundberry coming up and Honksy's Grab coming up, but we do see Grab, Blizzard, and Nano on the side of Seven Sins. So I'm
that's a
guessing they're
lot,
going to
yeah.
go for a Grab Blizzard here.
lots of CC. I hope that Seven Sins manages to stagger their ults correctly because you
Yeah,
need damage to come into the. You need damage to come into the grab. You need damage.
Achilles does get the early pick on a
Double grab!
PFC double grab, and that Blizzard does come out into Shatter. It looks
That's
like
the
all
fight
Ant's going to be
winner! You gotta
frozen.
do it, Seven Sins.
And Endo's gonna go down. Honksy following soon after. But Jangle still
Jangle
gets
says
two.
no. Jangle
Jangle
says
still gets two
no.
on Cat Dad and TPs, which is ridiculous, because Ant is still in this fight. It is still a 4v3 at this point on the side of Ant, and that sound barrier a 4v2 now. And it looks like they're just looking to zone people out. Shisui, he's like, I'm gonna contest as much as possible as soon as Seven gets back, and Jangles.
They pull it off. That was amazing.
They might have pulled it off because we see Brox on that, or not Brox, Defuse on that Tracer, trying their absolute hardest to contest that 0.01. And Ant gets it and adds another 3 minutes on the clock.
That's knowledge of when you need to stay in the fight and when you don't. Jangles and Brox being the snipers that they are. Also, by the way, massive aggression coming out again once again from Ant.
Right. And I feel that, the reason the tanks are able to do this is just because, in many ways, Brox is just putting down so much cover fire that even if he gets dove by D30, he still comes out with that mech broken and him still alive. Opsid cleaning it up and pushing the card just very, very dutifully as they just gets all the aggro they want. Jangles coming in with a flank, defuse, although taking out Jangles, they does pick up Serenity, and Endo and Brox getting a slice of this Seven Sins pie.
This is where Seven Sins, honestly, once they saw that Ant was playing so far up, you need to back out because you're playing right into Ant's hands. They want you to come out. They want you to come and say, no, we'll contest the payload before it's time for the final fight.
Course.
Yeah.
And we're seeing shades of Hollywood where they're pushing so much in. That is going to be the nail in the coffin. Almost. And the grab coming after. And it's going to be a 3-1 Ant victory. We're not going to see Busan this time.
Wow.
And that's going to be a well played. I really liked seeing that shatter and then the grab because the idea is always, maxing out the traditional CC. Ryan can still get that Earth Shatter in and start building Earth Shatter in the grab, right?
So
it's just Jangles' play is so essential.
This is filthy. He gets into he just takes the Widowmaker out front first, and then he says, "Okay, tanks and you're done." Now, it's again the aggression. Don't send a Roadhog into a Reinhardt game. You know the Reinhardt's gonna have a shatter. Endo's been building it nonstop the entire match, and their number one job at this point is to keep you from getting to that cart, and that is a major choke point for stalling on point 2.
And I feel like my MVP for this Rialto match in particular is definitely Jangles' Dragons, and just Jangles, his flank play, even on the first push, he was able to get Cat Dad really early. He was able to get that Dragons really fast, taking out both those tanks, both on first and second point, which is just a ridiculous amount of consistency, of just always diving their backline. This was a game of backlines. Volskaya was a game of backlines, and much like that, Rialto is too.
Yeah, and the problem I think too is we saw that absolutely in action when Seven Sins was able to reverse it and take games from Ant. It was because they went after Ant's backline first. I think ultimately that could have been Seven Sins' strategic win, is that if they were willing to be more aggressive than Ant, say, all right, no, we're going to initiate every single time and there's not a thing you can do about it.
Right.
That's when they were able to take it. They took Volskaya, I don't want to say almost effortlessly, but they kind of did. They did a full hold on first point.
And I very much think part of that is credited to Ant's willingness to try weird comps. And you know what? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the results speak for themselves. When they know what works, they are incredibly consistent at it, and that's what led them to a 3-1 victory.
Exactly. I definitely want to say that there was good play on both teams. I really thoroughly enjoyed the Overwatch coming out. But Ant really, honestly, just there was such star play from both sides. We had Jangles really flexing to a lot of different DPSs, and we had Opsid going with those amazing anti-nades. And of course, we can say
D30 and Defuse.
Also, great
DPS
play.
Brought out the firepower, and it looks like, as we're wrapping up stream, we just also want to say, thanks so much for being here and supporting Overwatch Pretenders by watching the Twitch. Join our Discord if you're just coming in.
This has been Fourbears, Big Brother, and Threepwood.
And that's Threepwood. I'm Fourbears. He's Threepwood. And here we are signing off. Thanks so much. And we hope to see you guys again on the battlefield and watching our other games in the future.